North Carolina, a report came out this
Yeah.
week from it's actually the Athletics Matt Baker now, as well as Brendan Marks, that North Carolina has spent well over $600,000 in legal fees exploring options to get out of the ACC. They call it their Carolina Blue Matter, which is great. Everything's got a code name, right? Um, you UNC very much not wanting to be in the limelight on this thing, but very much wanting to get out of the conference. I did a video on the national channel because it was UNC related, and not necessarily FSU specific. But what's your immediate reaction to this?
Yeah, I was not surprised at all. Some people might be because you think if you think of the ACC, you immediately think of the triangle, right? Duke, Carolina, NC State, Wake Forest. Um, that's just what you tend to think of. But North Carolina is also a very you have to be pretty intelligent to get in there, and the people running that university and the athletic programs are very intelligent, and they understand that what is going on in the ACC versus what the SEC and the Big Ten have coming up, it's just not something that's sustainable. I think that's very clear. So I'm not surprised that they've been somewhat covert in the terms of trying to see if there's other options outside of the ACC. In North Carolina, they have an endowment that they could afford to get out if they wanted to, quite honestly. So I'm not surprised by any of that at all. But, you know, that's the thing about being a public university. These things come to light. The article I saw was actually in the New York Times, and I can't remember who they cited as their source, if it was Baker or someone else. Baker, people love him or hate him, but he does a phenomenal job of, getting information that other people simply do not get. But yeah, I was not shocked at all to see North Carolina because I think North Carolina has a permanent home in the Big Ten if that's what they end up deciding.
Got a few games left in Coach Ham's career. We've got the NBA going, NHL. I mean, shoot, I'm over there on college baseball and a bunch of stuff. I've made money on the Noles all 3 days, and hopefully I'll make it again today. So make sure that you're betting with BetUS. YouTube 150 is the code for 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, 125% on your next two. All of that up to $2,000. We appreciate them for their support. Yeah, I actually think they are a little more likely SEC bound, but we'll see what happens there. So maybe we make a wager on that. But yeah, no, I do think what's interesting about it though is their athletic director Bubba Cunningham was very outspoken about like supporting the league and
Yeah.
kind of calling us out for different things.
He didn't kind of call us out. He straight up called us out.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the entire time, his university is essentially preparing for the same thing, and so I just think it's pretty hypocritical
Yeah.
of them to do that. Now, I will say, I have heard from folks around, actually, some folks at Florida State, that there are some split loyalties, some split ideas on what North Carolina should do. Bubba Cunningham is very much an ACC guy, whereas some of these board of trustees, they just want what's best for the university. They're not necessarily concerned about what's most important for the conference. So I do think that it's possible that Bubba had his opinions, he made them known. Florida State, or I'm sorry, UNC from a school perspective has their kind of ways of wanting to go about things, and so they're making them known. And so, all that said, like maybe it's not so bad, but I was told when Bubba said some of those things that he was very much in. North Carolina is still the team that they're the third team that voted against expansion, right? Like this is not
Yeah.
that shocking to me.
Yeah.
The shocking part is that Bubba was very much like, screw FSU when we were going down and doing all that stuff. So, anyway, I think that part of it's hypocritical and something that I found
Yeah.
rather hilarious.
No, and he was, if I remember correctly, because me, I get my feelings. I tweet at people. I tweeted at him directly. I'm pretty sure he was very vocal in calling Florida State out. Um, you know, basically saying, what are you doing? Why would you even do this? When they had started that process well before he made those comments. So I agree with the hypocritical part, but I don't blame North Carolina at all for wanting to get out of the ACC. I don't blame any school any name brand school for wanting to get out of the ACC because it just financially makes more sense. If you make more money, you build better facilities, you recruit better, and you have to rely on less money from your boosters and fans for NIL, um, because no, so they can give more to the NIL because you don't need their money for facilities and enhancements of stadiums across all sports. So yeah, it's definitely hypocritical, and especially when you know when he made. I don't remember when he made his public comments, literally calling out Florida State, while his legal team was already in the process of doing the back channeling that they were doing.
Yeah, they were. What's funny is they filed the suit,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, they started
2022. Yeah.
they started their research, their due diligence prior to Florida State filing their lawsuit,
Yes. Yeah.
well before in 2022. The other interesting thing, we talked about the money, right? Florida State spent over $3 million. Clemson's last reported number was about $1 million. I'd imagine they're up closer to 2 now, just based on like the timing of things.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you that that's definitely the case. It just, that was reported on about halfway through the whole situation. Now we're further. It would seem to me that they're probably spending a little bit more money. UNC spent like $620,000. Like, they're getting closer to that, over $500,000 just to like research. Like, I think that should tell you like how serious they are. It's not just,
And they're getting at these lawyers at a discounted rate
oh, for sure.
at North Carolina. So if we're talking market rate, they're probably at 1.5 right now.
Yeah. So there's something here. We'll see where it ends up going. Not telling you that anything happens by a certain date or whatever, but I think the UNC aspect of this, again, something that we all didn't, I don't think it shocks anybody. Like, everybody knew that UNC would be the third team
Yeah.
in this kind of triangle. They're the team that voted against expansion. They're the team that has the Jordan brand. They're the team that, or the program that very much would benefit from being outside of this conference, just like the Big Two are. But again, this is kind of the ACC's pride and joy, like their baby, and that's what probably makes it the most fun for everybody else watching. Hopefully, the ACC just kind of crumble and cater a little bit. So,
Yeah. And I'll just say this: obviously, Miami came out very much in favor of the ACC when all the Florida State news broke. Miami is a private institution. They do not have to release any information at all. I would not be shocked one bit if Miami was already in talks with the SEC or Big Ten, just to gauge interest. So I think there's a lot more of this going on. This just coming to light. I think it was 5 days ago when the article came out that I saw in the New York Times. That it's not surprising at all. And again, it's the private schools that the ACC really needs to worry about because they don't have to release any information to them. If you're a public university, you have to release everything. So it'll be very interesting the next 12, 18 months to see what happens.